We have a widespread severe weather outbreak that is underway tonight that extends from northeast Texas all the way up into the state of Wisconsin, with numerous severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, particularly up in northwestern Illinois and extending into eastern Iowa. But that did not spare the southern part of this zone of severe weather. Little Rock, Arkansas, one of the 4 confirmed tornadoes so far, and there's more to go. Tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, we have not only the widespread severe weather, but strong winds that are going to be impacting the mid-Atlantic states and parts of the Northeast, all the way back to the Ohio and Tennessee Valley, and west from there into the southern and central plains. Blizzard warnings up tonight in the Dakotas, extending up into Minnesota, with winter storm warnings on either side of that, up into the western Great Lakes. So stick around, folks. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area this spring with topsoil, sand, and mulch, plus anything else to make sure your home looks beautiful or your business looks beautiful. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So good evening, everybody, on this really busy, severe weather night. This is the latest view on the radar. I'm going to switch over to Tornado HQ in a moment, but I can't even count the number of severe thunderstorm warnings that are up, and the tornado warnings, which as soon as one disappears, a new one pops up. There has to be at least a dozen and a half of severe thunderstorm warnings from eastern Iowa right down along the Mississippi River, into western Tennessee, and also into eastern Arkansas. The tornado warnings are in the red boxes, the severe thunderstorm warnings in the yellow boxes, and you can see they also extend down into northeast Texas. Also seeing some strong thunderstorms and some severe thunderstorms near the Chicago area this evening, and we had at least one tornado confirmed for Iowa City in Iowa, and a cluster of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings up in eastern Iowa. Meanwhile, we've got some rain that is moving through parts of the Northeast now, and there's some snow well up into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That's the least of the worries here. Further out to the south, you've got rain in Virginia, into North Carolina, also into eastern Tennessee, and in northwest Georgia. Some of these thunderstorms in that southern part of the line are going to fire up tonight and move across the southern states. And then, of course, we have where we're seeing the blizzard warnings, and you see the hook here on the radar showing us the picture of the intense upper low that is moving through this part of the country and heading toward the northeast. It's just an absolutely insane night. Good evening, everybody, to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. I'm soloing tonight. I'm Joe Cioffi. Joe Rayo has the night off. And welcome to everybody on the chat board. Hope you can hear me okay. Anyone that's new or lurking about behind the scenes there, welcome to our show. We're on Monday through Thursdays at 7:35 p.m., but because of what's going on tonight, we're doing a Friday show. We'll also be doing a show tomorrow night, and I believe it'll be at 7 o'clock. I haven't confirmed it yet with Joe, but we will do one tomorrow night because this severe weather, while not nearly as extensive as what you see now, will be impacting the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states, so we're going to be covering that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can get notifications every time the Joe and Joe Weather Show is on. And, of course, you're welcome to participate in the conversation. Use your Gmail account to hit the subscribe button. And if you like the show, hit the like button. So why don't we get to it and get close up and, with what's going on with all this severe weather. And, again, I'll give this a quick refresh here. Very, very busy in up and down the Mississippi River. I have not seen a more widespread area of risk on any given day than was shown by the Storm Prediction Center today on their maps, and we'll get to those in a moment. They had a huge area of high risk. They had it split into two pieces this morning. Then they had it covering a large area. Then they kind of split it down to two pieces again. A huge area of moderate risk, and the tornado risk was really impressive. Is some areas showing tornado risk up in the 30 to 40% range, which is a number you rarely see from the Storm Prediction Center. So when they put numbers up like that, you know they're darn serious about these things. And at the moment, as we take a look at some of the warnings that are up, we've got a tornado warning that was just issued 8 minutes ago, and that is in Clinton and Jackson counties in Iowa for a confirmed tornado located near Grand Mound, or 15 miles south of Macoketa, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Another one that was issued 10 minutes ago in Henderson, Mercer, Rock Island, Warren, Des Moines, and Louisa counties in Illinois and Iowa. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage, located along a line extending from Buffalo Shores to Oakville to Delabar State Park, moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. You're on the expressway with no traffic or the interstates, moving at that speed. Also, 13 minutes ago, for Haywood, Lauderdale, and Tipton counties in Tennessee, we have a large and extremely, this is being described as a large and extremely dangerous tornado near Munford, or 8 miles south of Fort Pillow State Park, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Another one from 10 minutes ago, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This one is in Arkansas, Jefferson, Lonoke, and Prane counties in Arkansas. Another one from 25 minutes ago, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This is in Illinois and Iowa. This is in Mercer, Rock Island, Clinton, Muscatine, and Scott counties. That's probably part of the same one that we saw a little bit earlier that was just updated, I believe. And further along, another one here in Cedar, Clinton, Jackson, and Jones County in Iowa. A tornado-producing storm near Oxford Mills, or 11 miles northeast of Stanwood, moving northeast at 55. And we have a couple of tornado warnings that are about to expire in Delaware, Dubuque, and Jones County in Iowa, and a confirmed tornado in this warning that's going to expire in 6 minutes for Cass, Maynard, and Morgan counties in Illinois. And here's another one, 9 minutes from now in Independence, Izard, Sharp and Stone counties in Arkansas, Delaware County in Iowa, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and the rest were the last one here. It just expired 7 minutes ago, and that was in Crittenden, Mississippi, Shelby, and Tipton counties in Arkansas and in Tennessee. So just an absolutely wild night here from that standpoint. And again, we'll just give it another quick refresh, see if there's anything new, because they're coming so fast and so furious. Here's a new one that was out at 6:02 Central Time, 7:02 Eastern. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Hallsville over DeVal's Bluff, moving northeast at 50. And that's for Monroe, Prairie, and Woodruff counties. And then here's one, Logan, Maynard, and Sangamon County in Illinois. A confirmed tornado located near Pleasant Plains, moving northeast at 60 miles an hour. So a crazy radar indeed. And I'll give this a quick refresh here. And we'll come back to this a little bit later on because there'll probably be some new ones that will be showing up. Now, why is all this happening? I know that's the question you probably are all asking yourselves. And for that, we're just going to look at the upper air. And anytime this time of year, when you're dealing with vigorous upper lows, vigorous cutoff lows that wind up, this is a time of year where the atmosphere is warming very, very quickly, particularly in the southern half of the United States. And you still have remnants of Arctic air masses moving across southern Canada and moving into the United States. And when those two clash in the way this one is, you got a problem. And you also are dealing with a strong shortwave trough. And you could see here how it kind of is in an open state. This is going back to last night. You see this sort of broad trough that is extending from western Montana down into California. Well, as it moved eastward today, it really strengthened and got very vigorous there over northern Nebraska and southern Kansas. And it gets even more vigorous as we move into the evening hours and into the overnight into tomorrow morning as it heads over into Iowa and into Wisconsin and over the Great Lakes. So, this is, this time of year, you've got part of the atmosphere that wants to send temperatures shooting up into the 80s across the southern states. And then up to the north, you've got cold temperatures, very cold temperatures, clashing with that, as we said. And if we look at the surface map, you can probably see here the differences. For example, you have this low center. This is on the latest surface map here. This low centered in north central Iowa. On the southeast side, in the warm sector, you've got temperatures in the upper 60s. You head down into Missouri. They're in the mid to upper 70s. And then you go further south and you're looking at upper 70s and lower 80s as you head down through Arkansas, Louisiana, and into East Texas. And then on the other side of this, in the colder air to the north, it's in the low and mid 30s across southern Minnesota, up into central and northern Wisconsin. Further north than that, you start to get into 20s across northern parts of South Dakota and into North Dakota. This is a fairly cold high. It's not a strong high, but it's got a fair amount of cold air. And, again, very large temperature change. You're going from 20s to 60s over a relatively short distance, particularly when you look at what's going on in southern Minnesota, for example, where it's in the mid 30s. And it's not that many miles to get to southeastern Iowa, where temperatures are in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. Plus, the dew points are shooting up into the 60s as well. You've got 60-plus dew points down in southern Illinois, further south into Missouri, and into Arkansas. They start to get some dew points up in the mid to upper 60s. So this is a very, very juiced up air mass indeed. And go back to that upper air map, and I'll roll it back here right at this point this morning. I mean, you could see where the flow is coming from here, this tropical flow that is coming out from the Pacific and then forcing its way right up through the entire Mississippi Valley, while you've got this deep trough here, and you've got this cold flow out of Canada that is to the northwest of all of that. And right in this zone, this entire big zone here is where you're seeing a ton of the severe weather that is going on tonight. Here's a look from the satellite perspective, and these are the latest lightning strikes. It's very, very busy here in the upper Midwest, extending down to the lower Mississippi Valley. A lot of lightning strikes back into northeastern Texas. And, we mentioned last night that it is probably going to be near the vicinity of that upper low. The northwestern from northwestern Illinois into eastern Iowa looked like it was going to probably get hit harder than areas to the south, though both areas are getting hit very hard. But it seems that the concentration of thunderstorms is very, very active here in and around that upper low that is churning away now, and you see the rotation back through Nebraska. Look at these warnings. You got all this yellow here. This is almost like one gigantic tornado watch that is up from, and this is actually a little smaller than it was a couple of hours ago because the western flank of that's been taken down. But southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, much of Illinois, eastern half of Missouri, westernmost Kentucky, western Tennessee, northwestern Mississippi, in through much of the state of Arkansas, northwestern Louisiana, into East Texas. And I suspect that we'll probably get additional tornado watches out further to the east as we move into the nighttime hours. Also, you're seeing a large area here from across not only the Mississippi Valley, but going all the way to the east coast of the mid-Atlantic coast. Not quite up into New York City, though, but wind advisories for tomorrow. Southern half of New Jersey, all of Pennsylvania, southwestern New York. You have high wind warnings up for southeastern Ohio, all of West Virginia, northwestern and northern Virginia into Maryland, and then down the Carolina Mountains. Wind advisories extending down to about Atlanta, in northern Georgia. Wind advisories in south of the rest of North Carolina, back through northern Mississippi, and up into Louisiana. And of course, you've got the blizzard warnings tonight in the Dakotas for snow for southern parts of North Dakota and a good chunk of the eastern half of South Dakota, the southern half of Minnesota. Winter storm warnings are surrounding that. And when we take a look at, now there's already been snow falling there. So a lot of what you're seeing here in terms of amounts is on top of what's already fallen. And for Pierre, 8 inches, 8 to 12 inches being forecast for many cities here in central South Dakota. We're looking at also a band of 10-inch plus snows that starts out near Minneapolis and then goes east-northeast from there across northern Wisconsin and into the upper peninsula of Michigan. And then as we head further to the east to the northeast, you're seeing snow amounts of a coating to a couple of inches for northern and northeastern New England, a couple of inches throughout much of the state of Maine. So no big deal here as far as snow is concerned. Now let's look at the Storm Prediction Center. Now this is the risk map. This was updated at about 5:23 this evening. So we've got 2 smaller areas of high risk, southeastern Iowa, northwestern Illinois, another high risk area in eastern Arkansas, northwest Mississippi, southwestern Tennessee, big area of moderate risk. I mean, moderate risk on its own is enough to be a problem, of course. And then you've got an even bigger area of enhanced risk, an even bigger area of slight risk. It is truly a very, very large severe weather outbreak that we're seeing here. And as far as the tornado risk is concerned, 2 areas of 30% of that means, by the way, it's the probability of a tornado within 25 miles of any point in that indicated area. The hatched area indicates a 10% or greater probability of an EF2 or to an EF5 tornado within 25 miles of any point. Hail, a 45% probability of hail, and an even larger area of 30%. And as far as the wind goes, we're seeing also a 45% probability of winds exceeding 50 knots. So this is a very, very impressive outbreak that we're seeing. Now, let's look at tomorrow, because the Storm Prediction Center, Joe and I were talking about this yesterday, that we probably would see the risk areas expanded and elevated in the Northeast and into the northern mid-Atlantic states. And that's pretty much what SPC has done. We have now a slight risk of severe weather covering Delaware, New Jersey, Long Island, much of New England, except southeastern New England, where it's a marginal risk there. Also, The marginal risk extends down the coast into the Carolinas, becomes a slight risk again in South Carolina, coastal South Carolina, and the southern half of Georgia. And when we look at the tornado risk here, they have now added, now this is new, they have added a narrow area of 2 to as much as 5% tornado risk for coastal New Jersey down into Delaware. The 2% extends all the way up into southern New Hampshire and southernmost Vermont and as far south as the Delmarva Peninsula into Chesapeake Bay. And then you have another area of 2% tornado risk in the southeastern part of the United States. You know, they're kind of coming around to the idea of respecting the upper trough that was being indicated moving into the eastern part of the United States for tomorrow. And in fact, we'll come back to this upper air map, and you can see the upper low, very vigorous. And there's your very sharp open trough right there. This is tomorrow evening. And this, by the way, for those that are along the coast, and we know that we get into the springtime months, you get the wind off the cold ocean, that it often kills thunderstorms once they, you know, we usually joke about the fact that once they cross the bridges in New York and can't pay the toll, they just pretty much fall apart as they go further to the east. This is going to be a little different because the one way you can compensate for that wind is if you have a very, very strong shortwave trough that is moving in the upper atmosphere, and that's what we're seeing here for tomorrow. In fact, if we go close up here on map where we could see the jet streaks at the 18,000 foot level, which is, you know, one of the things I like to look at when it comes to severe weather, and you could see the vigorous jet here at 18,000 feet with winds of 45, 50 knots or higher with that shortwave trough as it moves through. This is Saturday morning. This is Saturday evening. Sorry, the first one is Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. This is at 8 o'clock Saturday evening. So at this point, if the trough that we're seeing is back right through here in central Pennsylvania, you're likely to be seeing the thunderstorms going through around that time to the east of that from some Chesapeake Bay northeastward up into southern New England. And most of the models are kind of on board with this idea. I'm going to go down one level. I'm going to go down to the 10,000 foot level and take a look at that. Again, the jet streaks for me are, you know, really kind of set it apart. And you see a few of them there in New Jersey. This is indicating that you got a lot of shear, and you're getting those strong winds in the upper atmosphere are going to mix down to the bottom. And this is how you can often see rotation come out of the developing thunderstorms that move on through. So then once the upper trough clears, of course, weather conditions will improve, and we'll have a much better day on Sunday. So I'm going to bring up the surface map. And here you have, now this is the GFS, the latest GFS model. And there's your low, you know, your wrapped up low this evening in northeastern Iowa. You can see how the model picks up on some of the thunderstorms in Illinois and in eastern Iowa, also a cluster there in southwestern Michigan. And then you've got another line that runs from southern Indiana on down into Arkansas and Mississippi. Probably going to see those storms flaring up shortly. And then, of course, the rain that we saw on the radar in the Northeast and also the separate area in the Carolinas. The area in between from there is not going to see very much at the moment. But later tonight, as that low moves up into Lake Michigan, you see the snow kind of hanging back in through Wisconsin and Iowa. The line of storms that extends now, this is 2 a.m., that extends down from to Ohio, eastern Kentucky, central Tennessee, and then further south into Mississippi, moves eastward into northern Georgia. This is at 8 a.m. You've got rain and maybe even a thunderstorm that will move through tomorrow morning with that batch that you see crossing the Northeast. Now, that is separate from the upper trough. So what's going to happen is Once those rains move out tomorrow morning, you're going to get a break. But now we're waiting for the upper trough to go by, and that is on the surface. You kind of see it here where the isobars are making that sort of V shape back in western Pennsylvania down into West Virginia. So that's reflecting the upper trough, and it's from that. And now, of course, you're dealing with all this heating tomorrow that's going to take temperatures up. I think from New York City, south and west, should easily make it up to 70 or better. Might even make it to 70 or better a little bit further north than that into the Hudson Valley, southwestern Connecticut, western Long Island. And you see how the GFS really flares up a line of storms late in the afternoon into tomorrow evening as the upper trough goes by. And the other thing to notice is, by the way, and I think you'll probably see it better if I go on the close-up map. Look at the gradient here. Look at how tight these isobars are wrapped up around this low that is moving, pretty much straight east-northeast from the plains to the lakes and into Canada. The gradient is tight over just about every state from just west of the Mississippi eastward. So we're talking a lot of wind here. And the winds will go southwest, and then you get that upper trough to go by in the evening, and then they'll shift around to the northwest, and we'll probably see those winds howl for a while. Saturday night, it'll get windy during the day on Saturday, particularly inland, and then really crank up as that upper trough goes by Saturday night into early Sunday morning, and then finally on Sunday you're going to start to see that gradient gradually relax, and the high quickly settles down along the coast. This is a quick shot of chilly air that comes in behind it. We'll get a break on Monday, and a weak front will approach after that. And then we've got to look out in the west because we've got one of these endless systems that is moving into the western part of the United States with heavy rain and snows. There are winter storm warnings up. If we look back on the watches and warnings map, because I didn't mention it at the beginning, we've got winter storm warnings up for a good chunk of the western half of Oregon, up the Cascades into Washington State, and also some advisories and warnings up into Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. That is with this next weather system that's going to be chugging along and moving to the east. And this one come next week, and you see it already in northeastern Colorado. There's an 88 low there Monday night, and that's going to eventually get kicked out into another big storm and another round of big snows in the northern plains come Tuesday into Wednesday. And with that next deep low moving up almost to like this one is, maybe this one's a little bit further north, you're seeing, going to probably wind up seeing another chance for severe weather in the, this time I think it'll probably be more in the middle and upper middle Mississippi Valley into the lower lakes in Ohio Valley. Come Tuesday night, Wednesday, as this low moves on to the northeast. And this one, again, going further north into Canada toward James Bay. So the gradient in the east that gets set up with this one is not as impressive, but it'll set up for some midweek showers. And then after that, we really don't see much of anything. And I know I saw the European, by the way, for those of you who have mentioned it, because the European wants to bring snow to the mid-Atlantic to southern New England for Easter Sunday. It's on day 9 on the European. I can tell you that through this winter, that after having that model produce numerous storms along the way in the day 8 to 10 time frame, I don't think a single one of them wound up coming true. So I wouldn't really put a whole lot of stock in that at the moment, particularly because we're going at that point. We're going to be a good, almost 10, we're going to be 9 days into the month of April. So for it to snow now, it's going to have to be an absolutely perfect setup. Why don't we go back to the radar and see what's going on? Because with severe weather, things could change very, very quickly. And I should have said this earlier, but I'm going to say it now. You will, if for additional and really up-to-date information regarding severe weather, we are live now at 7:27 Eastern time, but if you're watching this on a replay, obviously all of this is dated. So you want to go to your local National Weather Service office forecast page, weather.gov, to get the latest weather information. And you can see, it certainly hasn't relaxed in the last 15, 20 minutes. We still have numerous severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings that are up. We've got one that is now up in eastern Tennessee, western Tennessee. Let's go to Tornado HQ and see if we can pull up anything new. So 10 minutes ago, we had a warning that was issued for Logan and Sangamon counties in Illinois. A large and extremely dangerous tornado near Williamsville, moving northeast at 35. Another one from 14 minutes ago in Sangamon County, because that might be part of the same one. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near North Springfield, Illinois, moving east at 50. And then we have one from 18 minutes ago for Crockett, Gibson, Haywood, and Madison counties. It is 7:29 p.m. Eastern time, by the way. This one is in Tennessee, okay? Crockett, Gibson, Haywood, and Madison counties in Tennessee. A confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado located 8 miles southwest of Nutbush or 9 miles east of Covington, moving east at 55 miles an hour. And I think that pretty much, I heard this was one, Joe Davies, Dubuque, and Jackson in Illinois and Iowa. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado moving over Cottonville or 11 miles north of Maquoketa. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Moving northeast at 55. And then you have the one in Arkansas from 21 minutes ago. We may have mentioned this already. This is Arkansas, Monroe, and Prairie counties in Arkansas. Severe thunderstorm capable. Yeah, this is the one that was moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. So it is definitely a crazy, crazy night from the standpoint of severe weather. So it's hard to do this show by yourself. I used to do this show by myself until I brought Joe Rayo on board. So anyway, seeing on the chat board, all the regulars are here. David Schwartz, thank you for putting up some of the warnings that have been going out on the chat board for everybody to see. And yes, congratulations to Dennis Cassia being inducted into the Firefighters Hall of Fame. Congratulations on that. Quincy McCoy, evening, very dynamic system. Some counties in northern Iowa under the tornado. Yes. In fact, I just want to go back. Let's go back to WPC's map. I'm sorry, SPC's map here. And let's go to the home page. So at least we can look at this. I mean, it looks like we have a new tornado watch that just went up too. Yeah, so there's a new tornado watch now, and that's up for parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, and they're labeling this as a particularly dangerous situation. So let's take a look at that. And there's the new tornado watch. Excuse me. Their hazards and the likelihood, high likelihood of tornadoes, high likelihood of an EF2 or greater, high likelihood of severe wind, 65 knots, moderate likelihood of a 65 knot wind, moderate likelihood of 2-inch hail, and severe hail. And let's see. This is this you don't see too often, but this is the new tornado watch number 97 for portions of northwestern Alabama, northern Mississippi, western and middle Tennessee. All right, you know what? I'm just going to get myself out of the way here for a moment. Not that you can see the print unless you're looking at this on a big screen. Okay, so let's go back to that. Primary threats include several tornadoes and a few intense tornadoes likely, damaging winds and isolated gusts to 80 miles per hour likely, scattered large hail and isolated very large hail events to 2.5 inches in diameter. I mean, that's the size of probably a tennis ball, or maybe just a little bit smaller than a tennis ball. The tornado, the threat for both discrete tornadic supercells and an eventual severe squall line will spread across the watch area through the evening. A favorable, unstable, strong shear environment will support the threat for significant EF2 tornadoes, severe thunderstorm gusts, and large and locally damaging hail are also expected. It's not often when you see the red, they have this in red. This is a particularly dangerous situation. So the folks in this area, particularly with what's happened happened last week, I'm sure they're all on high alert regarding any tornado risks that are in play with this particular system. And it's only the last day of March. Well, we got a long way to go with severe weather, because you still have all of April into May and the first part of June where the severe weather can be a big deal. Usually April's even more active than March is, but certainly March this year. I remember last year kind of got off, if I remember correctly, sort of got off to a slow start, but this year it's been a bit different. So I think that pretty much covers it all. There's not a whole lot more I can add to all of this with regards to the coverage tonight. So we'll be tomorrow night, as I said, Joe and I will do a show. It'll either be at 7 or 7:30. It's up to me. It'd be at 7. So I'm going to push for the 7 o'clock start. Thanks, everybody, for taking your time out of your Friday evening to join us here. I guess so people aren't used to us being on a Friday, because tonight the audience is on the on the low side, but that's okay. Probably a few people will pick it up on the replay. So we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. ish, and have a great night. And those of you, if you're watching from where severe weather is going on, pay attention to the watches and warnings, and take shelter. It's been a crazy night so far, and it's going to be more so over the next few hours. And once again, I want to remind everybody that if you're watching this, this show is done live between 7 p.m. Eastern Time and roughly 7:40 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're watching this on a replay, you want to make sure you have the latest National Weather Service watches and warnings, and the latest information on what's going on your area. So go to weather.gov and click on your near your geography, and you'll get your local National Weather Service office, and you'll be able to get the latest watches and warnings. So I'm going to leave you guys with let me put the radar up before I say goodnight. Get myself, make myself smaller. There we go. And I'll put let's get that radar going again. And there you have it. I'll give it a quick refresh. Yeah, the area up here in eastern Iowa, northwestern Illinois really seems to be, at the moment, seems to be busier. The new tornado watch, you see these 3 clustered areas through western Tennessee and north and eastern Arkansas. That's what SPC is talking about, where you're going to have these isolated cells that are around, and then eventually a squall line is going to develop, and that's exactly what the models are indicating. So anyway, everybody stay safe, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night, as I said, I think at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Good night, everybody.